Hi, everyone. My name is Anya Grace, and I'm here with my mentor, actually, Shannon Port, who's the founder of the Art of the Feminine podcast and platform, and has been such a massive and important part of my life for a long time at this point. And so we have some really exciting news to share at the end of this video. And we also just wanted to come on today with everything that's happening in the world and share some really powerful spiritual principles and mindsets to really ground ourselves at this time. So we're going to be talking about the subconscious mind and the importance of programming essentially our own subconscious, and how this is related to the divine feminine. So I just want to welcome you, Shannon. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it's really, really great to be here. Thank you. Yes.
And it's St. Patrick's Day, and I match her chair, which is fun.
And I am a wee bit Irish, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great to be here. It really is. March 17th. And yeah, there's a lot of energy on the planet right now, and it's different than it usually would be on this day. So yes, it's really nice to be here.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what's going to be happening, where we'll be at a year from now, and maybe some people will be watching this video then. But right now, there's this whole the coronavirus is just it's the early moments of this experience happening globally, where we're all just there's a global health crisis. And at least what I'm noticing is in it, there's really two kind of options that I'm witnessing people go toward, which is one, fear, and really kind of getting up in the mind, and then the other is just in essence staying connected to the heart and witnessing this experience and witnessing the mind. But Shannon is one of the most powerful resources on this whole planet in connection to the divine feminine wisdom. And that's why I wanted to bring her on and talk about this today, because what I'm seeing is that our subconscious right now is really susceptible to programming, and we're a little bit destabilized. And so I think at this time, there's even more of a need to be aware of what we're bringing into our bodies. So I was wondering if you could share, just in your perspective, like some metaphysical, kind of describing the power of the subconscious from a metaphysical standpoint, or whatever you feel like talking about related to this.
Yes. Well, the subconscious mind it's really our inner divine feminine creative power. And so it's our greatest resource for absolutely everything that we want to create in our lives. And what happens is that it's also a very receptive part of our consciousness and our soul. And so it's easy to tap into it without us being aware that our own resources are being used. It's what we think of as our goddess energy and our creative energy. And our energy literally goes out from us and is creating the world around us. And it's very receptive to the law of suggestion. And we talk about that a lot. And I know you've talked about that a lot now too. And so when you think about it, we go through our day and we're constantly being fed a stream of information. And depending on how much of our focus and belief and attention we give to any stream out there, we give it access to our creative power and to our generative powers within. In other words, what we connect with and what we not only hear and see, but when we believe it and when it activates a feeling within us, we begin to help create that stream or that wave of consciousness in the reality around us. And so I'll say more about this in a few, but there are waves and particles of information always in the ethers, always out there, that are thoughts, they're thought forms. And depending on what we are connecting with, they come into us and they start to work on our subconscious mind. And so, depending upon our state, we will, if we latch on to something, well, depending upon our state, what we're feeling, we attract those thought forms and they begin to generate the world around us. And so there was one thing that I was going to say. I think I'll leave it right there and just let you come in, and we'll see what there's a lot to say around it.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most important conversations to have, and at least to have the awareness of this, because at least from what I've learned from Shannon and this platform and this wisdom is, yeah, the subconscious is literally creating everything. And I think it's interesting when you said, when we give it access to that subconscious creative power, because what I talk a lot about with my audience is when we're giving our power away. But I think I'm making this connection to, it's more, we're not actually giving something away, we're just allowing access to our power. And then that's what can cause that power to be drained and in essence exploited. And you know, and you talk so much about as well, like everything being a sexual act, every single thing, every single moment being this act of intercourse where we're receiving or we're in this experience of really being penetrated by these external energies. And so to develop the discernment of what we actually allow to penetrate us, just like we would develop the discernment to decide who we allow to penetrate us on a sexual level. Because, and in that, if let's say you're, you know, if we're having sex with someone, it's not that in that process we're giving our power away, it's that they have access, they're inside of us, and therefore they have access to that creative, sexual, infinite potential energy that is Shakti, the divine feminine power. Mm-hmm. So I just learned something really powerful in that yeah, really the giving our power away has more to do with what we're actually allowing external energies to have access to. That's what came to me.
Yeah, really powerful how you put that. Very, very powerful. Yes, I said, yeah, I did a video yesterday about the subconscious mind, and I said it's like undressing for it. It's like handing yourself over naked when you believe something, because you're opening yourself to it, and it gets to come in and fertilize you. And so it's even like when we are feeling triggered, or when there's an emotional hook, when we react to something, what we're doing is it's a burst of subconscious energy that comes out of us, but it can only come because something about what we took in, we believed. So when we're like, even if we're in an argument, or we're in whatever's happening, even in the collective with the news, or in politics, or whatever we're being bombarded with, in order for us to react, there has to be a match, and that match comes through what we believe, and it has to do what we believe about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so if we haven't, that's why we talk so much about self-worth and being in our power. Once we have neutralized those hooks within us, we're more discriminating about what we believe, so we have a chance to stop it before it penetrates us. It's that moment between the conception, that it's almost like time. I'm thinking the lunar and the solar principle come together, and it's almost like time stands still. It really is opening zero point, because when you have the wherewithal and the neutrality, this is all related to time, because time is also a feminine principle, but time stands still, and you reroute the power, and you prevent yourself from just riding the wave into that particular belief. So someone comes at you, we're always exchanging beliefs. Every conversation is one person's belief coming at you. And depending upon their frequency, if it's coming with love and how much they love you and care for you, will determine the energy with that, where those arrows are hitting and how they're hitting. But it's, so in these times, it's important to be, there's a way that we can tune in to what's going on and listen and take in the news and check in, because we don't want to isolate or shut down or go into denial, but we want to be able to see from a place where our highest wisdom is able to decide what we're going to give creative force to. So this is a powerful initiation. This is huge, what we're experiencing. The subconscious mind is our health. Everything about our health is created through the subconscious mind, everything. And of course, it's an interplay between consciousness is both conscious and subconscious, but it's an interplay between our conscious focus and our subconscious. But oftentimes what's happening in the collective, we're not conscious. It's just coming at us. We just accept it so easily. We let down and we take in everything that comes to us.
And I think the key thing that you were saying is that when we believe something about ourselves, that's when it gets in the most, or that's when we feel the trigger, and we allow that thing access to our creative power, to our sexual energy. Because I was thinking about, like, if someone, I just think back to my past and what I used to allow into my field, even in love relationship, what I used to tolerate. And because I hadn't done the self-worth elevation work to recognize my truth. And then once that truth was revealed, then, someone could be coming at me with the same exact behavior. But at this point, I'm not a match for it. I don't allow it into my field, and there's no trigger around it. It's just a simple, no, not interested in that. No reaction to it. It's just, I don't even attract it anymore, because it's not, I rewired or I reprogrammed myself, which to me, I think I like to talk about as like distortions in the field too, where I think like healing is really revealing the true deep within, the true wisdom, the true love coding that is within us. And so if we're attracting something that doesn't actually feel like love, then the work, or at least in my way of looking at it, it's kind of like, what can I do to release what isn't a match to that true love, that true wisdom that is deep within me? I don't know if that's making sense, but I'm just thinking about it as, hold on one second. Yeah, that when we do over time, it's like by doing this work of working through our triggers and this self-worth, then we are deciding what we allow into our body, what we allow into our field, and what we allow into our creative subconscious again. So anyway, every time I talk to you, I'm like learning so much. So I'm like processing it as I speak, I think, a little bit. But yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about with you today is frequency. And at least with the divine feminine wisdom that we are connected to, the power and the importance of this word frequency. And so frequency, and also to me, when my frequency is higher, let's say when I've done yoga or eaten foods that are elevating or meditated, it's a lot harder for the fear conditioning or programming to get into my field. It's also a lot harder for me to get triggered in my relationship. It's also a lot harder for me to fall into fear around any other aspect in my life. So that's why I think, the way I like to think of like a fast process for programming in a positive way is just to orient back into divinity and our identity being divinity, because when we do that, then it's the ultimate shield. It's like when we are embodying that presence of the divine within, then nothing is higher than that, and we are that. And so it's this ultimate shield that has, at least in my life, been such a powerful way to support my process in elevation and healing and revealing this truth. So that was a lot, but anything that you feel is important from what I said, or anything else that you want to take it.
Yeah, there's two things. I wanted to say something to close out what we finished on, and then talk about frequency. What you said. Oh yes. Okay. So first of all, and frequency, you mentioned doing yoga and doing the things that make you feel good. But the frequency for what makes everyone feel good will be different. Moving is great, but it's having, when we take care of ourselves and we feel good about ourselves, that sets a really high frequency, huge. And I'll come right back to it. I wanted to say, when you were talking about love, and you said so many powerful things, but in relationship, in terms of communicating and what we attract frequency wise, and what we accept, allow, discriminate, when we're in a relationship dynamic with another, also one of the most powerful ways we can love the person that we're with is we teach each other by how we communicate. And so we're all human. And so in love relationships, we all bring our wounds to the table, and we all try to slip it in. It doesn't matter who you are. Relationships will bring up the areas where you would rather not look at. And so when we have that, we do this for our partner, and our partner does it for us. And it's such a huge gift. When someone comes at you with something, it doesn't have to be like, I'm better than that, I'm above that right now, I'm sorry. You can, talk to, it's more that we can show them by our ability to stand in that space and really listen, but not accept it, not buy into it. There is an immediate feeling of love and expansion that can, it is profound how a partner can feel that, and just kind of let it go. Not always. Sometimes and I know I've been the one that wanted to persist in going in a direction that wasn't right, and had someone hold space for me. And then eventually, you're so glad. So it's really, when we know who we are, we know what we believe in, and we can hold that space. It's also good for anyone, even those people who we're not close to, even in public. And so this is a way we'll be loving each other in the age that we're entering into. So with frequency, yes. Okay. So you mentioned frequency. Yeah. When you're feeling good about yourself, that's why I talked about this yesterday. Really being clear what you want and who you are is a huge step to being able to feel good about yourself. And so sometimes in relationships, we expect unconsciously the other person to give that to us. There's definitely something that comes through the one we love that completes a part of us, but and sometimes they will even teach us what it is about ourself that we really love, and we'll grow and begin to find ourselves within a relationship. But when it comes to feeling whole and having the ability to hold the frequency high, when we really know ourselves and we know who we are and what's important to us, and we're actively pursuing that, because oftentimes when we let things go in our own life, we naturally start to project, onto the other person. But so knowing what you want and the kind of world you want to create makes your frequency go way up. You have so much less time for anything outside of that, and it naturally raises everything up around you. I don't know if that filled in exactly where you were going with it, but its frequency is big right now. And I know there's a couple other things we might say about it.
Yeah, I love that you said it's one of the ways that we're going to be loving each other, not just in relationship with a romantic partner, but just with strangers in the world. Yeah. Like, the higher we project ourselves out into the world, the higher we revere and understand our own selves and I like to say, like, divine nature, divine truth, the more we're embodied in that I am, it's way easier to see ourselves and the divine energy in another person. And so, yeah, I love that. And that's just So powerful. I love speaking to you because we get to speak in this, in such a, you said in one of your podcasts a long time ago that the language of the feminine is symbolism, art. It's the hidden language. It's like the underneath the surface, music, arts, and symbols. And I think that my favorite way to speak and my favorite way to communicate is when things get to be coming from maybe where there's little hidden mysteries within the words, and there's codes and there's energies inside of every word. And I think that even in this, like, however long this is, 20-25 minute talk and conversation, there's actually so much. It's like the tip of the iceberg, but what's actually really here is beneath the surface. And that's what I'm feeling right now.
It's huge. There, for every word, there's a stream. Every time we, and I was watching the light change around you. I'm kind of like looking down at you, and every time you and I call forth or invoke a frequency, a stream opens and comes through that. And so, and I know we talk about the frequency of the work, but when we and that's why it's so fulfilling to be around, we in this age, the age what in archetypal, what we would call the age of Aquarius, but it's a new collective energy, that's an archetypal energy that's coming in. There's going to be a lot of work amongst each other in groups and communities, and the way we speak. So we'll always want to seek out those people who are vibrating with us. It's very important that we're allowed to do that. We're not meant to be a monoculture where everyone's the same, everything's the same. We have every kind of relationship with every person is the same. There's always going to be a well of intimacy and depth, which are very much about the divine feminine, the intimate relationships, and those special relationships that have to do, and by special I mean that there's been some intimacy created and depth, and there's a lot of programming to take that away. But when we have those opportunities, the frequency does just build and build, and it's like the saying, when two or more come together, because it's such a gift. And so yeah, when we're talking, I feel things, a lot of light coming in around it. Let's see, what did you just say? About language too. And I love the way you talk about divinity. You really, really, I know when I think of you, Anya, I think of someone who, whenever we connect and whenever I talk to you, I feel your divinity. You have so made that a part of your, you've put that coding and archetypal enlightened program into your field, and you can feel it. Because divinity doesn't mean that you're any certain idea of you're still going to be fluid and self-expressed in your own individuality, but there's an energy that says that this is what I stand for. I'm connected to this high vibration anyway, and I always feel it with you. And so I love when you talk about it. But yes, how we speak. The human race, this is the age of the word. The age of Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and it has to do with the power of the word. And so, and the logos and the light and the solar force and all of this energy that we work with on a metaphysical and esoteric level. But our words truly, and I know what you said, they in our inner word, especially our inner word, activates everything in our subconscious mind. But the way we speak, what we see, what we are okay with in all forms of communication that we see on the outer, it's degenerated into a really low level of communication. And so that's why when we are we have to be discerning when we listen to this is how the saying goes. People either have vision, when we awaken, we get this vision. It corresponds to being a visionary, which corresponds to art and music and dance, and the creative arts are generally the pathway into being a visionary. I mean, it spans all the arts and sciences, but when your word is aligned, you're activating vision. And so when we're reading the news, when we're taking in things, most of the time we're taking in information from people who don't yet have vision. And so they're speaking maybe very even intellectually, but the greater vision comes once we know the power of the heart and the power of frequency. And it changes everything. And it does, when we have that, it doesn't mean that we judge, because judgments is also something we really learn to understand what judgment does, because it's toxic to anybody. And so it's not about having judgment. In a way, when we can see what frequency is coming in, it's compassion, because we can even hold that space that we just talked about, where we don't believe it or take it in. In doing that, we send that love back to, the people who are sending out those messages. It's a new concept of, it's not new in many deeper lineages of knowledge and wisdom and mystery, but it's a way of helping people learn without being violent, aggressive, judgmental. And I kind of took that in a different direction, but the word is really powerful, huge.
Yeah.
All of our words. And I love when you talk about the word.
It's oh my gosh, literally so many things have come to me as you were speaking. And so one of the things, it's funny, I actually have a story. So yesterday, I'm in Idaho right now with my boyfriend, and we got a rental car because we both flew out here, and we just like re-upped the rental car. And because of the coronavirus, everything is so cheap. And so we literally rented this, I forget, I don't know cars, but like a Mustang GT or something like that. It was just like, so like for fun, because it was only like $100 something more. It wasn't very much for a whole week. And so we're like, why not? Like, let's be in this energy of whatever, abundance and fun. And it's just kind of silly. But so we were literally like, for the first 2 songs that we played, we played Drake for like a song and a half. But both of us, by the second song, like pumping just bumping this like rap music, we were both like, I turned to him and I was like, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. The frequency is too low. And he was like, you and me both, like, we couldn't handle the frequency. And we talk about range and how it's powerful to be able to play into and experience different energies. And in a sense, that's actually the divine feminine power, to go into an experience fully with consciousness, but then to be able to choose what frequencies we spend our time in. And so it was just funny, because we both felt like instantly lower in our frequency. And in addition to that, yesterday, ironically, I was also on Instagram, and I never, like, I follow some of these comedians out of LA, and they're hilarious. And they were doing this parody on this couple who are very much in the mainstream kind of social media, and just like not very, and again, so judgment is one of the things that lowers our frequency. So not in judgment, but just noticing, I was taking part in what millions and millions and millions of people are liking and following. And I was watching it, and I was immersing myself in it for a moment. And it was absolutely, I think I'm just not even aware of like the numbers of people who are following that kind of thing versus the numbers of people who are following what I would consider to be holding like a more higher frequency. It's just interesting to see the mass of population and what people are going toward. And so the other thing that came to me is when you're talking about vision, in my life over the last, I would say 4 to 5 years, what has come into my life has come in matching what my desires and dreams have been and what's been, let's say, on my vision board, but they've come in with the most vivid color. And like, if I, thinking about manifesting the studio that I live in right now and the land that I live on right now, and how perfect of a match it is to this deeper creative subconscious desire that I've been thinking about and dreaming about forever. The relationship that I'm in right now, like the qualities and the essences of not just my partner, but what we experience together are vivid. It's almost like the creative imagination is literally here in form, and I can tell when something manifests, I like to say, like on a 5D level, because of the vibrancy it holds. So it's so interesting hearing you speak about this, because I feel like it's answering some of these questions of what I've been noticing in my own life as as I drop into that I am presence and that divine essence. And last thing I want to say, there's a lot of stuff that came in when you were talking, but what part of the reason that I have Elevated Woman, which really birthed out of the art of the feminine. And when I was starting my business, I remember talking to Shannon on the phone, and I was kind of in breakdown, because I was like, I have to teach this work, but I can't teach this work without honoring you and making sure that I am in alignment with integrity and honoring, this stream that you are, that brought in so much power and wisdom, and just like in a way wanting permission. And but I think back to that time and my process in diving into your work and the Art of the Feminine podcast, and just studying that like in my own little cave for 4 years before I really started, I guess, I think we didn't even connect for the first 2 years of me discovering your work. But one of the biggest pieces that I healed through your work is something awakened in me where I realized that my truth is divine frequency. And I think in conjunction with the wisdom of what you were sharing and the experiences I was having, just kind of through my body and meditation and yoga, where I was feeling my divinity, allowed me to really rewire myself into understanding that my identity is this non-physical, energetic, spiritual truth. And the more I align with the highest understanding of that truth and embody that, nothing can hurt me. I am the highest power that exists, and we all are. And I think what we're awakening right now is that revelation and understanding of that. That's awakening. So
I love that.
I love
that you said nothing can hurt you. And you mean it, and I know you mean it. And I just wanted to say, also in the way you created too, and the way your life started to build around your inner vision too, it was so aligned. Because, and I'll just throw these things in really quick, there's a huge poverty consciousness on the planet, and it's something that we're working on as a human race. Everybody has the ability to align and come into this frequency. We all have it. Everybody will come in at their own time. And so it's not about this utopia where we snap our fingers and everyone has it, but we're meant to, as feminine creators and generators and artists and visionaries. And that's why art and music and all of these things are so powerful, because they help. The artist is aligning with their subconscious mind and receiving from above and below, and projecting a divine harmonious image into the field. Now it's not always divine and harmonious, so that's a whole other conversation. But you being able to create that, and create it from truth, create it from humility, and yet huge power, and giving you the platform to do the work that you do now, because you just blossomed into, you grew Elevated Woman, and you're in the setting that provides that sustenance and frequency for you to do that. It's so aligned. Whenever we talk and I can just feel the goddess moving in waves around. And so your ability, Ani's a creator, and very much so, and your ability to know the frequency, know what you're committed to, because commitment and investment of our creative power are what help us to not be so distracted. You knew, and you embraced it, and you embraced it also along with all the growth that's happening along with it. but it just raised everything up into a much higher, not, I mean, you know, and you came in high, but you just, everything is happening at such a high level. And it's beautiful. It's been so amazing to watch. Really, really beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a blessing. Oh my gosh. So yeah, and this is a good time to actually talk about it. But one more thing too, and we were talking about like that stream and the iceberg, and this is the tip, just this conversation. It's like you consciously are taking part in this conversation and hearing words, and that's sort of like the tip of the iceberg, but there's so much more beneath the surface. And I think what I feel is it's like when Shannon speaks for, let's say, 3 minutes, I receive an hour's worth of content in that. It's like I receive so much information in 3 minutes of vocal expression. And I think that's divine feminine, that's subconscious. We can, you know, a single sentence can program an entire, let's say, forest of growth. And so in this very call, I'm personally experiencing the power of the subconscious, the power of the creative, and the goddess energy that's all around us, and connecting within this connection and stream. And so yeah, I think I'll just, it's so exciting because I guess in connection to me starting my business, and really I went to Shannon really humbly, knowing that if I started this business without doing it in integrity, it would fall down. I would not have success long term. I would not create powerfully. And I use this kind of metaphor of like a skyscraper versus a mountain, and false power is a skyscraper. It may even be taller than the mountain. It may look really amazing, but when it comes down to it, the mountain is what's truly stable and sturdy and powerful. And so one of the things I learned from Shannon in this stream and this lineage of work is true power can withstand anything and everything because it's rooted in that frequency. So one of the things that drew me, I think, to you, Shannon, ultimately is this frequency. And now it's amazing because I don't know if we should talk about it now or when you want to talk about everything, but basically we're going to be doing more work together, and there's a lot to share. And so, but I'm just really grateful because if I hadn't approached you with that knowing, with that inner knowing of the importance of revering, of reverence and honoring you, I wouldn't be in this position right now of communicating and connecting with you and being able to do this talk and working with you. So that's something that I learned firsthand account, just sharing with the world how powerful what we're talking about really is.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I know we've been going for a while, but I will add to that. When there is integrity and when there's communication and when, in the collective and in the collective feminine, there's a big shadow, and we won't break into that. I know we've both done videos about it and talked about it, but when women come together, and in this case you and I come together, and there is such an integrity and love and wisdom, and it builds a trust and a loyalty, but that comes from something bigger. It comes from actually knowing that you're the same and that you're working for the same, even though we have our individuality, and we honor what each other creates, and rightfully so. And so it's such a beautiful thing. And this is the way the world is meant to become. And especially we're healing this really powerfully in women, because of women. We didn't talk about this today, but because in the female polarity, there's some deep, deep, deep healing to be done. And this age we're going to that, it's just beginning to roll out. We're only just beginning. But yeah, that I got to experience that with you, which was such a huge gift. And now what it has built, and we'll just say, I mean, what it has built is that Anya also had the ability to, and it was her calling and her life. She just was able to integrate and embody and begin to put a word on it, a creative force on it as a complete, it was one of the most creative people I know. And so what happens is that we build relationships and we find the higher meaning of the connection and are able to even create more and go further and reach more people and have more beauty and abundance and love that comes from joining. And so yeah, so we, Anya and I, have been working together for a while, and we're getting ready to we've actually founded something really exciting that we're going to be introducing soon. And it's part of the new archetype that's being birthed on the planet. It's really, really powerful. There's a powerful stream around it, a powerful lineage around it. And it's really meant to help people that are ready to align, that are ready to come. This is a powerful, powerful time when many people are getting ready to shift from what they're doing into a new, their higher calling. And a lot of people will take what they're already doing and just being solidifying it and giving it a real foundation. And so I'll just say that, but the connection with Anya, and I learned from it too, in a very high way too, because what started as student teacher, and we still hold that dynamic, but we hold it for each other. And when we get together and talk, it's almost crazy, because going back to what you said, when two people are aligned and it's two or more gathered in the name, which is the word, it's the power of the light, the abundance that comes is huge. It's huge. It's such a gift. And so I know when I hear you talk too, I mean, everything is coming in and magnetizing to it. So it's a gift. It's a gift that's going to spread over the all around the planet. So I'll stop there. I don't know what else you want to say, but
yeah, it's amazing. I think what I'd like to close off with is just right now, the world is where it's at. A lot of people are in fear. A lot of people are, it's like first chakra, stability, safety, survival happening right now. And I think at this time when there's that level of instability, we are even more susceptible to programming from the external. And what's interesting though right now is, I mean, I'm always being guided by something beyond, I don't know exactly, but it feels like at this moment, actually, it is goddess energy. And it's actually crazy what I've been doing in terms of the content that is suddenly pumping out of me and being prepared to be released on the internet. And so it's like, and the work that I do is really, it's all subconscious programming that programs us into that revelation of divinity. And so it's just amazing, because it's like in this moment that there's this vulnerability and susceptibility to the fear. I feel, at least on this end with the divine feminine wisdom, there's this ramping up of this is the time, this is important. I'm just being guided, and my conscious mind isn't even part of it. It's just like, okay, and now this is what we are releasing, and this is what we are creating, and this is what the world is calling for. And I just think it's really interesting. So in that, I even wrote in an email that perhaps this is the exact moment we've been waiting for. And I think that actually came from our conversation recently, that we are, that there needs to be a falling down of structures. And in that falling down, the regeneration can happen, or just the revealing can happen of what's actually been here all along. So I feel really just amazed and grateful for the words that were spoken, as well as the energies that are here beneath the surface, because there is so much that I feel.
So much energy. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I can feel it.
Yeah. Like,
This moment in time too, there's an opening, there's a portal. It's like what we talked about, the sun and the moon coming together, and it's open for both the lower and the programming, but it's also a moment in time that we've been waiting for. Yeah. It's access to the feminine and a regeneration of it. Yeah, it's huge.
So we'll just close out with that, but we're going to be doing some more videos really soon, and we will be sharing more about the creation that we have and what we founded together. So I'm really excited to do that. And any last words that you want to share?
Yes, I feel like this is a time to really honor the hearth fire, honor the home, honor each other. When everything comes to a halt on the outside, everything is brought in. The feminine magnetizes, and so honor this time. It's here for a reason. When everything is stopped, take care of yourself, but love, love, love. Look around and love what's before you, rather than being really focused on. I mean, we have to know what's going on, but there's opportunity right now. In fact, I'm getting email after email after email saying, first of all, make videos. What can we do? I mean, people are writing saying, this is it. This is the time we've been waiting for. A lot of women especially are writing saying, this is it. It's here. Wow, we've been talking about it. So it's a powerful time to start to let the ideas be birthed and come in. So we're really sending everyone a lot of love, and it's such a amazing honor to be here with Anya, and a lot of fun too. It's so much fun.
So fun. Thank you, Shannon. I will see everyone again very soon.